There are parts of us that we can only meet through connection. Today, we are going to talk about how your soul is trying to tell you who it is through your love life. My name is Megan. I am the Conscious Love Coach, and I am here to turn your heartbreak into the best glow up you have ever seen. And can we first start out by talking about how much I love doing these videos? Like, I love doing these spiritual videos because I'm spiritual at core. Okay. My dad loves to tell the story about how in kindergarten, we were supposed to do an assignment. We were supposed to write a report about something we really loved. And everyone wrote about their dog or they wrote about their favorite park. And I wrote my assignment about the solar system in kindergarten. So, needless to say, I have always been into the astro world, spirituality realm, and it's only as I get older I'm more comfortable with expressing that side of me because I don't be caring what people think no more. So, anyway, we're going to talk about how your relationships, how your soul is actually trying to tell you who it is through the relationships we have. There are parts of us that we can only meet through connection, right? And if you are anxiously attached, the side of you that you meet in connection might not be the side that you are most proud of. However, when we start to notice specific patterns in our relationship cycles, that is when everything changes. Because up until the point that we recognize the pattern, we feel like we are unlucky in love. We feel like love just isn't for us. We're no good at relationships. My favorite one that I used to use is that I felt like I had a man repellent attached to me. We want to believe all of these things because all of these things is what keeps us safe from the reality of we're dropping the ball somewhere. But every person we fall for, every person we chase, every person that we think that we just can't get over was divinely guided to you for your soul's evolution. Those partners that we feel like we just can't get over, it's not because they are our soulmates or the person that we're supposed to end up with. It is because they are triggering something deep within us. And ultimately, that is what the universe or source or whatever, that is what the universe wants from you. The universe wants you to know yourself so well because when you know yourself so well, then you are able to fully walk in your purpose and fulfill the mission that you have here on earth. So when we think about someone reflecting back our deepest wounds, we don't look at the actual relationship itself. Look at the emotional landscape. The emotional landscape is what feels familiar. So here's a perfect example. If you are dealing with someone where it started out with all of the sparks, and now all of a sudden you're noticing that you're having to work a little harder for your love, or maybe they're not paying as much attention, or maybe their attention is sometimey. Maybe sometimes you feel like they're all in, they're fully present, and then other times they might as well be miles and miles apart. That is because that is mimicking something that is familiar within you between you and your primary caretakers. Now, understand that when I say mimicking something familiar within you, I am referring to emotionally. So think to some of your primary caretakers. What was your baseline emotional feeling? Now, it is very common for people to grow up in these homes that are filled with a ton of love. However, the parent maybe is not as supportive as as you want them to be. I was going to say as they should be, but we're trying not to use the word should, but maybe they were not as supportive as they could have been. Or maybe every time you mentioned something that you liked, they just kind of shrugged it off. Yeah, yeah, okay, whatever. They didn't really take an interest in you. If any of those scenarios feel familiar to you, then it's no wonder you're attracted to emotionally unavailable people because that is your perceived point of view from your first loves, your primary caretakers. So, no, your soul is not choosing chaos. What it is choosing is familiarity. I can never say that word right. Familiarity. You know what I mean? It's choosing what's familiar, okay? Your soul is choosing what's familiar. Your soul does not know what it feels like to be in a steady and consistent relationship because every time you experience that, we label it boring or uninteresting. However, that is what secure love feels like. Secure love is not always explosive and endless conversations. It's consistent more than it is anything else. Every relationship has a purpose, even, and I guess especially the most painful ones, because the painful ones remind us of where we are still tender. So there are three types of soul led connections. The very first type is the karmic. It is heavy, it is intense, and it can sometimes repeat itself. Now, if you are like me and started out very young, dealing with intense relationships from like your early 20s on out, then you probably are thinking about your first relationship where it was like that narcissistic, abusive partner, or the one that you just could not get to love you right, no matter how much of you gave or how much of you settled into. You just were not able to get it right. So that is the very first of these soul connections is a karmic connection. And that karmic connection is probably the one that hurts the absolute most, just because karmic connections, um, I don't want to say you don't feel like you learn anything from them. However, I will say that normally you're so blinded by the pain of karmic connections that you're not really trying to learn anything. You're truly just trying to heal so that it doesn't hurt anymore. Now, the next soul connection is the catalyst. Now, I have spoken about the catalyst before, so we're just going to reiterate. If you just learned about attachment theory, after this really horrible breakup, this person that broke your heart so bad, you don't know how you'll ever be able to rebound, then 9 times out of 10, you are probably dealing with your own catalyst. The catalyst is the relationship that comes in and wakes you up. So you have the karmic where you are dealing with some old wounds and they truly just have to play out because a part of the karmic purpose is for you to actually feel the pain, right? A lot of our I want to say our most permanent lessons, but our best lessons or most useful lessons are learned through pain. So that's what the karmic connection comes in. But then the catalyst comes in because remember, karmic connections normally repeat themselves, they are patterns. So the catalyst is going to come in and it's going to feel like you are well, I was going to say this close to heaven, but I'm going to say in the beginning, the catalyst, you feel like you are in heaven. They feel like the perfect person. You, in a sense, kind of will feel like the cycle has been broken. If you have heard that, if you have kind of thought that in your mind or heard that from someone else, then you know that you are in a catalyst connection. Because what the catalyst does is they come in, they give you just a little piece of heaven, a piece of that healthy relationship that you've been longing for. And then in some way or another, the avoidant tendency pops out. Your anxiousness starts to play out. I'm acting as if everyone that's watching this is anxious. Okay, forgive me. Maybe you're not anxious, but either way, some way, shape, or form, the catalyst will reject you. Okay, they don't necessarily have to be avoidant, although normally they are, but the catalyst will reject you, and they will reject you in some way. It will hit so deep that you will be forced to look at yourself, because when you start to look at yourself, then you are able to see the parts of you that actually kept you away from the relationship that you were looking for. People say that they want relationships because they're only focusing on the connection, the love, all of the good feelings, completely ignoring that relationships are meant to trigger us. Relationships are not always supposed to be this cloud nine, good feel, I'm on top of the world 24/7. No, they are supposed to trigger some of your deepest wounds because when you are triggered, that is when you are supposed to grow. You're not supposed to remain triggered. If someone is in a relationship and they are still being triggered by the same things that they were triggered by 9, 10 years ago, where is the growth? So I kind of be going on my little rants. Forgive me or not. That's just me. I guess you're here because you appreciate that kind of thing. Anyway, the catalyst is meant to wake you up. So when I think about the catalyst, you can't wake up if you keep holding on to the catalyst. And I know these avoidant relationships come in and they bring out a desperation in us that we might not be necessarily familiar with. However, the avoidant comes in just to show you how far you are willing to go to self abandon. Because when you notice that you are self abandoning, that is when you start to go within, like, how did I allow someone to have this much control over me? But the only issue is that sometimes with these relationships, we want to hold on to the catalyst because we're also kind of holding on to the first 3 months or 4 or 5 months of bliss that this relationship promised. However, the 4 or 5 months of bliss that the relationship showed you in the beginning, it's not because the relationship is going to eventually get back there. No, it's there to show you that it is possible. It's kind of like this little test sample, a little test drive before you get the real thing. It's like the universe comes in and is like, hey, look, love is actually available for you. And then the avoidant comes out, not necessarily the avoidant person, but the avoidant tendencies in the person comes out, they leave you, they end the relationship. And it's like, now just deal with this. And then I promise you, you will get that back. It'll just be in a different person, someone more aligned. You cannot catalyze if you continue to hold on to the catalyst. You have to let go. So when the catalyst comes through, it is because you are supposed to go within, but while you are going within, you actually let go of the person that catalyzed the inner work. And then the last soul led connection is the soulmate connection. So you have your karmics that you're in this constant pattern of emotionally unavailable partners, then moves in your catalyst. And yeah, it hurts like hell, but you meet a part of you that you never met before, and you begin to actually like this part of you. Not only do you like this part of you, but you begin to like the other parts of you that much more. And then once you do all of that work, then the soulmate comes in. The soulmate is the connection that they're not necessarily mirroring you. You don't feel like you have met your missing puzzle piece. You feel like you have met the person that is going to challenge you just enough, challenge you in such a way that you want to show up as a better version of yourself. Now, obviously, in between all of these different connections, there might be a few flings here and there, maybe a few little relationships, yada, yada, yada. But when we think about what our soul is trying to tell us through relationships, you know that your soul is going to be speaking through pain because pain is what gets our attention. Pain is what wakes us up. So when you are in a situationship or a relationship that is causing a lot of pain, that is your soul's way of saying, "Hey, pay attention to this part." If you are dealing with the constant rumination, you can't stop thinking about the person. Well, your soul wants you to pay attention to the part of you that feels rejected, that feels abandoned. If you feel like you are having to do the absolute most to get someone's attention, then that's your soul wanting you to pay attention to the part of you that needs validation. Your soul is constantly trying to tell you what it needs or what you need to look at. But when we get into these relationships that cause a lot of pain, we allow our wanting, our longing for our partners to act right and to do right to take over. And when they take over, guess what? We become the very person that hurts us. We become the avoidant because avoidance avoid emotions. They avoid dealing with the problems that the current situation is bringing up. If you are focusing all of your attention on them, then you are avoiding you. You have turned into the avoidant. So when it comes to these very, I want to say, challenging relationships, it's important to really pay attention to what is this bringing up in me? What part of me is triggered right now? And when you think about what part of you is triggered right now, what is it that you need? What would make this whole situation, this trigger, go away? Because when you are able to identify what it is you need in those moments that you are triggered, the next time that you are triggered that same way, you will respond differently. Awareness normally makes things, especially patterns, come to an end. We will find ourselves repeating the same stuff over and over just because we aren't aware of the thoughts that make us want to continue to repeat it. Your brain is telling a story, and it is up to you to decipher what that story is. Because when you decipher what that story is, you are able to change your patterns in love, your patterns with money. Hell, you will change your patterns with life. You can literally become a completely different person when you decide to stop running from the feelings that these relationships bring up and actually start looking at them. The ultimate goal is to be in a conscious relationship. A conscious relationship is where both parties have done the inner child healing. Both parties are recognizing the patterns that they have in love. They're setting clear energetic boundaries. And more importantly, they are making decisions regarding the relationship from a place of wholeness, not lack. You know, when we are making decisions to be with people from an insecurely attached lens, we are looking at our potential partners from a place of lack. We don't feel validated, so we are looking for a partner to validate us. We don't feel supported, so we are looking for a partner to support us. We don't feel loved, so we are looking for a partner to love us. When we don't feel some of the most basic relational needs, which all of the things I just mentioned are, then we start choosing our partners from a place of lack. And sometimes we will even find ourselves chasing people that we don't even want. You have no idea how many people I speak to that want to know about a partner. They want to know if they're coming back or want to know if they really love them. And it's the same partner that they don't even want. They don't even want this person. But that's the way attachment works. It doesn't go for comfort or for what feels good. It goes for what feels familiar. And that's how these soul led connections operate initially. And the whole goal is to move from familiarity to comfort. My name is Megan. It was such a pleasure making another video for you all. Please let me know in the comments if any of this resonated with you. I know for one, I had the karmic early in life, narcissistic, abusive ex husband. I had the catalyst, that was the most difficult relationship. I actually speak about that relationship frequently because I feel like that is the one that resonates the most with people. It lasted 5 months and took me damn near 2 years to get over it. You know, so let me know in the comments if you resonate with anything that I am saying. And until next time, I will see you later.